What's up, Love Tribe? It's DJ Val. Guess what? Have you ever felt, for those of you guys who are not able to watch this, you're listening to this podcast, maybe in your car, maybe you're, at the gym, wherever you are, but I have this little turtleneck on right now. And I'm wondering if you guys ever feel like with a turtleneck or certain things in your life, tight jeans, like anything that's like kind of rigid and you're just like, "Rah," and it's kind of smushing you and holding you back. What's your first natural instinct, your reaction? What do? You push back and you are like, I don't want this, I don't want to be constrained. I don't want to be tight. And I think we do this so many times in our lives with, discipline practices and accountability practices. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I have a problem that I act like a 15-year-old a lot, especially when it comes to rigidity and when it comes to somebody else telling me what to do, even though it's probably the right thing for me to do. I'm still immature. I swear. I'm like a little 15-year-old girl. And so I have this like little voice, people talk about their inner child. Well, I definitely have an inner teenager, and she sometimes gets to drive the bus. And the thing that I notice about her is the more that I try to contain her and restrict her and tell her what to do and not listen to actually what she wants, the more she gets rebellious and the more she's like, fuck you, I'm doing this anyway. And obviously that leads to a variety of issues, internally and externally, with my health, with my mental health, with my spiritual health, with my relationships, with money, et cetera, et cetera. So, this episode, I want to share with you guys just about courting your inner teenager, courting your inner rebel and making love to her and sitting with her and going on a rock and kicking it with her and, doing some stuff that instead of trying to push her away and tell her that she's wrong, embrace her, bring her a little bit closer. And so what I've noticed as a mother of a teenage daughter, and she's just, right at the cusp of teenagehood, the more that I push her, the more she pushes back. And of course, that's reflective of my personality as well. And every teenager, whether you're, identify as a male or female or somewhere in between, how do we be healthy and do the things that are right for us in a way that's respectful of that inner teen, yet still get the job done and not let the inner teen run the show, right? And so I'm still working on that. I don't have all the answers. I have some experiments to play with, but I definitely don't have every single answer. So it's kind of funny. I really think that too much rigidity leads to rebellion, and I think of like the church, for example, particularly, that's a great example to me. I think about these religious institutions that don't allow men to get married or have sex. Really? That's fucked up. Okay. I can still make love to God every single day, and I can still be a woman and make love to my husband or make love to my lover. And so I completely, for some people, they may not agree with this. That's fine. But I think that's fucked up. And I think it hurts people. Clearly it hurts young children, and particularly young boys, because the priests are fucking them and raping them and molesting them. And we know that to be true in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases. And so, gee, guys, maybe we should think about restructuring what, the church could look like, and obviously other things, because it's causing pain and suffering for innocence. And it's causing pain and suffering for the people who are committing these acts. I can't imagine that a priest is really like feeling great about himself while he's raping a boy. I just don't. I'm not guessing that he's like, oh my God, this is great. God wants this for me, and this is so cool. Can't imagine that. But there's something, because he has an unmet need, a sexual unmet need, because he said yes to this church thing and this God thing, that he thinks he's supposed to, not have sex, but then it comes out sideways like grilled cheese. And I talk about this in other episodes about, if you smush stuff down enough, it's going to come out sideways like gooey grilled cheese. So that's where I think rigidity comes in, and it really causes a lot of damage. And, there's a fine balance, there's a harmony, there's a dance between rigidity, discipline, and relaxation, and going with the flow, and the Tao, and being here now, and everything. So it's like, how do we as spiritual seekers, how do we as people who want to exponentially elevate our consciousness and the planet through our actions and through our thoughts and through our love, how do we balance, discipline with flexibility? And so, I'm looking in this episode at the most toxic form of it, which is, this rebellion thing that comes out, when we're too rigid. And obviously we see it in many, many forms. We see, clearly if you watch any news, you hear all these like politicians who are so like anti-gay and gay, gay bashing and all this horrible shit. And then they're getting caught in the rest stop blowing some guy, and it's just like, there's this, I'm supposed to be so fucking rigid, but then I'm really not that way, but I think I'm supposed to be. And then it comes out sideways and my truth shows up in a more perverted format. And so then you feel even worse about yourself. So it's like you feel worse about yourself, you feel bad about yourself because you're suppressing your truth. And then you feel like shit because it explodes, that suppression explodes into something hostile and negative in your own, psyche and life and spiritual work. And so how do we get to move the needle forward on, being authentic with ourselves, being disciplined with ourselves, and not allowing it to erupt, disrupt, explode our lives and those lives around us? And so my invitation this week and an experiment is to let some stuff go, whatever it might be. And I don't have the exact date. I don't know when this is going to air. I'm thinking this is going to be sometime in March that you guys are listening to this. And it's springtime. We're going to be doing some spring cleaning in March. It's going to be great. But like, what is so, like, you think you have to do all these things, right? Like, I know, like, I like to do my dishes before I go to bed, and I like my kitchen to be clean when I wake up in the morning. I like my bed to be made in the morning first thing. Like, I get out of bed, I pray instantly and drop to my knees and I dance. First I dance and then I pray. And then, and we'll go over a morning ritual episode at one point with y'all. Oops, sorry. I, and then I make my bed. And I'm not suggesting that you turn into some sloppy heathen, but I'm suggesting that if there's certain things that are not feeling cohesive and in alignment with your truth, let them go just for a little bit. Like, just chill out, let it go, and do it tomorrow. Whether it's like, I have to go do that 10-mile run, whatever, like, relax a little bit and embrace that it's okay to be chill, and then get back on it the next day. And I know this is counterintuitive for a lot of people who are, a lot of us are type A. We have these big dreams and visions and goals. I'm like, I have to stay on it. I need my discipline. Got to do the thing. But then all of a sudden we have like, these binges of, I ate 40 boxes of, Chips Ahoy or whatever the fuck, we do. So give yourself some permission once in a while to just let it go and let go of some of the rigidity in your thinking. One thing I want to invite also, so two things. We have rigidity in our thinking about how we're supposed to behave, correct? So we have this like, okay, Val, you got to get up, you got to do the thing, you got to make the dish, you do the dishes, you do the bed, blah, blah, blah. You got to make the perfect breakfast, you got to make this great dinner for your kids and all these things, So there's that self rigidity. The other rigidity is with other. And that's, I think, even equally as important. I'm not going to say it's more or less important than self-rigidity and that relationship. But I do believe that, because we want to control the world around us, because that makes us feel safer. And a lot of us who've been abused or have been in, unstable and violent situations in our lives, particularly our childhood, a lot of us go through life trying to control the external, because it helps us feel a little bit safer on the internal, if at least, okay, I know I got this controlled, we can only do so much, on this external, but certainly we can only do so much with the humans on the external part of it. And so let's cut each other a little slack this week, and then let's maybe, rather than the constant rigidity of, oh my God, I'm so mad at my partner because he left the toilet seat up, or I'm mad at my kids because they didn't put their backpacks away the way they're supposed to after school, or, I'm at the copier at my office desk and so didn't refill the paper, whatever the fuck it is. Like, rather than letting it just boil up and turn into this like giant festering internal wart, uh, let it be something that, you're going to use it as a gift to just relax a little bit and ask God, like, hey, can you help me just relax around this? And that's it. And it sounds sort of like a strange experiment and maybe not that impactful, but I'm curious about your experience with this experiment. Okay. So let's hear it. So what I invite you to do again, just whether it's internal or external, whether it's, in your own home or at the office or somewhere, like cut a little slack this week, for someone else, something else, or for yourself. And then just see how you can be at ease with, am I alive? Did that kill me? Is the world still turning? Are we going to be okay because I let a little bit of slack go on this? And because what I don't want to happen for you and what has happened for me in the past is that rebellious state where you get to a point where you're just so overloaded and overwhelmed with this constant being not meeting the expectations of that discipline, that rigidity, that you start to become too rebellious. And then you start to have the fuck it attitude. And then, that could lead to damaged relationships, that can lead to damaged health, damaged finances, et cetera, et cetera. So my hope is that we don't get that far in life and then we can move forward together. So that's it. But, I put this on. I love this. You guys who are listening to the podcast, you can't see this, but it's like a dog. It's not even a dog collar. It's a bondage collar. I really love bondage and BDSM, and I love being tied up by the right people who care about me and love me. But like, this is something that it's like when you feel tied up and you feel like somebody who's got a hold of you that doesn't care about you, AKA your crazy mind, then it's bound to, you're going to try to pull back and you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt others. And so, as we glide through this experiment, remember, it's like you're the only one putting this chain on you. Okay. And you have the power to take it off of you. And, your mind is a servant of your soul. And remember that. Okay. Your mind is a servant of your soul. Do not let it be the opposite. And so we have to take time to meditate. We have to take time to do practice and affirmations and be calm and do our breathing so that we can remember who's actually in charge. So we're not going to let the 15-year-old run the show, but we definitely want her on the bus with us, because she's awesome and fun and welcome, but our spirit, our wise, our inner wisdom, our infinite voice is the one that we want to be with a megaphone. Okay. So let's practice that. Song of the week is Uptight, Everything is All Right by Stevie Wonder. Uptight, everything is all right. Such a good song. And then the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal is number 8. It's decent work and economic growth. And so I like to think about, why is it important that we have decent work and economic growth? Humans need to feel valued, and if they feel like they are a part of something bigger than themselves, then that little monkey mind that goes a little crazy and wants to get all controlling can calm down, and it can feel like, yeah, I'm part of the team. This is great. So I like to I like to play connect the dots. I definitely play connect the dots with this show, with the Sustainable Development Goals. And sorry, I yawned. Oops. And I think it's important that we remember, the bigger dream of the planet. So the Blue Chip Foundation is a charity of the week that Elizabeth, my team member, my project manager, chose. And they're a foundation that works around eradicating poverty and helping people get trained so that they can, move the needle of their dream forward and, of course, the dream of the planet. So check out Blue Chip Foundation. Everything's going to be in the show notes. And, I don't say this a ton, and I need to remember, like, you guys can go to the djvaleriebelove.com/podcast page and get a dream sheet. A dream sheet is just a simple piece of paper that I made up for you guys and for myself. Stick it on your refrigerator. You fill out a couple things, and it's just for you and your eyes only, unless you want to send me a picture of it, which would be really cool. and it just has the 7 days of the week, and it has what your experiment is, it has what your song is, and it says, why are you doing this? Like, why is it important to you to practice less rigidity, and to, I'm saying leave the clothes on the floor for the week and not freak out about everything being perfect. Why is that important? Who's it going to benefit? How is it going to benefit them? And so if you have that on your refrigerator, it's a cool sheet that, if you're sitting there eating breakfast, your kids look at it and they're like, yo, mom, you didn't check off Wednesday. Like, did you do your experiment? It's kind of a cool accountability thing. And then the second part is grab a buddy, anybody. It could be somebody at work or, a new friend that you made, somebody through Facebook. It doesn't matter. Find a buddy and do the experiments with, because then you can talk about, like, what was it like for you to leave the laundry on the floor on Tuesday, even though, that's not usually your jam, or whatever it is that you're going to choose to do to calm down and not be so rigid so that you don't have these rebellious outbreaks and stuff. Some of you guys may not suffer from this, but I can tell you I do. And so I'm speaking to those of you who are like me, who, sometimes will have some, moments of fuck it, and then you go a little bit sideways. So I'm trying to do something in service of you and myself too. And that's it. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It's been really fun. This is a new season, and I like doing these video podcasts. It's been different. I definitely, the other podcasts, it's like, I don't have to put makeup on or glitter or whatever, but it's kind of fun. And I like doing this on YouTube, and I feel like I've still got another 5 years to go before I even have a clue of what I'm doing here in the digital world. And then, of course, it'll all change, and then it'll be VR and virtual and holographic cool shit. So I got to get caught up on that. Anyways, wishing you all lots of love, peace, love, and aloha. And remember, you're the one in charge of taking this off. All right. So I'm actually going to take it off right now. I do like it, actually. It kind of feels interesting, but all right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Aloha.